back to his presidency, when Kibaki took over, he had the chance of becoming a Mandela because the country was tired of 24 years of misrule. People were ready to march and move forward. And when Michuki came up with the seatbelt rules, you see what the country did. People agreed to walk to work. The nation was ready to be united.
Right.
But he blew it up. The few people I've talked to, several members of his cabinet, say he was a very bad man in terms of keeping promises. He was known for betrayal. So as soon as he took over, they had an understanding, the coalition, the NAC coalition, that they would meet either in State House or in his house or in OP to discuss the cabinet. So Mudi Awori, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo, David Musila.
It never happened, did it?
They went to see him in State House. They were kept for 3 hours within some room. Meanwhile, Kibaki had actually left the State House using another gate. Okay? So he said, no, let's follow him to his house. So at the house, only Mood was allowed to enter, but still he didn't see Kibaki. Then he released what do you call it, a list of cabinet members, and none of them was from what they'd agreed. So he actually stabbed his colleagues in the back. He betrayed them bitterly, and that bitterness is what almost brought down his government. Right.
Is this implementation of the Memorandum of Understanding,
yes,
sort of this document that was supposed to manage this sort of broad church of a coalition? And at that time, the belief was, and from this political analyst and pundits, and Mashari, I think, has written about this for a long time, that the country saw itself through the representation of all these people who showed up in that space.
Yes.
And almost there's a transition. Once the election had been won, there was this sort of difference of that goes in the back burner. Now it's time to run the country, and we'll run it the best way possible. How sort of like saying whatever happened in the election doesn't matter. We will assume office and we'll do what is right, right? So in that sense, then Josephine, talk to us briefly about that time and that period.
Maybe for me, connecting it with what Macharia said and Caleb regarding some strange decisions he made, I found dissolving of the cabinet a very strange decision then. The reactions on how he handled that, and I mean, it was like he just brought down the whole government to show his annoyance over the failure of the referendum. So yes, just like Macharia says, there are some things he did that really left us, or left me wondering what next, you know, like such a reaction was, I found it too overbearing, you know. Dissolving a whole cabinet. I don't know whether it had happened anywhere else, though it's provided for by the Constitution, but I'm like, wow.
Yeah. So Martha Karua, you know, also spoke to us over the, I think, Friday last week, and speaking about this moment, direct about this moment, she said that what the president feared was that there was obviously a difference of opinion, a sharp difference of opinion between himself and colleagues in cabinet, and he could not see how that they could sit together and sort of move anything forward. And in that sense, he felt it much easier and much better to fire everyone and then only bring colleagues that, you know, he aligns with and supplement that with other things. Mashaya.
Yeah, I think I would agree to an extent in that once the government is so divided and it is clear that people are working at cross purposes, he had very little choice after that referendum but to get rid of those who are not marching in step with him. But the thing is that he is the one who had created the problem in the first place by pushing that flawed constitution through, which was bound to flop anyway. So he created the problem. He had to find a way to solve it. That was the best way he could, but it only provided some short-term benefit because another election was going to come. So it's one of these things that I don't know why he did. I don't know why he did not see the danger or the risk of going into a referendum when there's such a big divide within government, leave alone within anywhere else.
Right. John Kamau has written a story, and you need to chime on this, but just on John Kamau has written history that said he's never held a story for such a long time than this one. And it's an exclusive interview that he had 2012 with Francis Mudaura.
Okay.
And speaks about this moment in 2005, but also 2007, that election that appeared to have been won by Raila Odinga. And he says in that moment, Francis Mudaura was there trying to speak to the president, and he said the president had little to say and little to do. He said appeared resigned to the results. And in that sense, he says that Kibaki did not instruct anyone to do anything. Or in that sense, you know, if the elections were stolen or not, he had no clue, if you like, because Mudaura was with him at that time when the results were coming in, and said he was resigned to what was happening on TV and on the screens. Like, the results have gone pretty much the same way the 2005 results had gone through.
Yeah, some of the Kibaki colleagues that I've talked to during my time of writing books say that he could be a pretender at times. He had a way of appearing innocent. In reality, he's actually issued instructions. so
taking that on face value would be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, of a stretch.
Yeah.
They even say that at the time when he was sickly, he was very firm and very, articulate while chairing cabinet. So there are two faces to Kibaki. But what I've never understood is what he did to the Bomas constitution. We spent months and weeks at Bomas, and we had one of the most beautiful katibas at that time. Why he changed his mind to dump it is difficult to understand. So he threw a country into chaos over some interests that are of no value. So he's open to say that he had a weakness of serving a clique of the elite that belonged to his
the famous Muthaiga
club. so according to them, the people who are pulling the strings and running the show.
I read the Mudaura interview. I also listened to him on TV, and also there was Matere Keririe, who was also instrumental around that period. And what struck me is that they tried to justify Kibaki reneging on what you might call the power sharing agreement of 2003. Because I was saying he still appointed people from that other